Hello everyone, we are back and we are here with a review of The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails. Now this originally came out for the PSP back in 2012, but with that it's never been released, outside of that unless you got a fan translation for it. However, that changed because this game came out in September 2023 for the PlayStation 4, the Switch, and the PC. Now this is considered a side game, a side story in the Trails series, which is, Trails series itself is a larger part of the Legend of Heroes universe. Now, I've only played a couple of games in the franchise since I'm still relatively new here. I've played Zero, I've played Azure, and I've played a bit of Reverie, which I still need to go back and play more of that. But with that being said, and this might be a very bold statement, The Legend of Nayuta is my favorite Trails game. Now, why is it my favorite Trails game? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let's get into those details. But first, let's set up the story here. In this game, you're playing as a character called Nayuta. Which is in the title itself. So basically, Nayuta has returned to his home on Remnant Isle along with Cygnus after doing some exploration because Nayuta likes to explore and wants to see more of the world. However, on his return home though, there's an unexpected visitor in the name of Zest, Z-E-C-H-S-T, I'm gonna pronounce that name wrong, I'm so sorry, and is stealing something called the Master Gear. And with that, there is a little berry left behind called Noi, and you discover this world called Terra, which Zest has a plan to, reset the world or remake it anew to bring in the form of Regenesis. So your objective is to basically stop him from having this happen, and it takes you on this journey through 4 different continents in the world of Terra and beyond. I don't want to spoil too much more of how the story unfolds, but just like with the other Trails games I've played, the story is a big aspect, and it really helps drive the experience. Because not only do you discover more about, Remnant Isle and the world of Terra and what it holds, but also, what is this world? What does it hold? And you also see Nayuta's evolution as a character throughout this experience. And I will say, I love the story here. It was very well done. It kept me hooked until the end. And you'll want to see this through. However, one thing with the story is that when you finish the main game, it will say the story's not over yet. So make sure when you finish it, you do the after story as well. It makes it for more of an interesting time and expands upon, what happens after the completion of the main game. And overall, the game took about, at least according to the game time for me, 24.5 hours, but that's not finding everything. So if you want to do that, there's obviously more to be had, and there's also New Game Plus as well, so things to keep you coming back and playing more. But how does it play though? This is the one thing that makes this game stand out. It is not a turn-based game like the ones that at least I've mentioned before. This goes for a more action approach. It's more akin to ease, and it's really fun. I think the combat's actually solid. You have attacks, you have combos, and you also have access to magic attacks that, Noi has, because Noi joins you on your journey throughout this game. And as you free these administrators, you will also get gear abilities for Noi, which can include things like, destroying metal barriers, having a barrier shield that you can walk along, say lava or water, or even ride up along a wall or something, or just grab onto these floating discs. So as you play, the game will expand its repertoire with your abilities as you play throughout. However, it's not just limited to those kind of things, because as you're playing, you will have objectives to meet throughout the levels, which are, you know, finding 3 crystals or finding a chest or 2. Each area has its own mission to complete for that. And if you complete those, you can get all 3 stars, and stars are used to take back and learn new combat abilities. So these abilities can include things like a wake-up attack, another kind of special attack, extending the combo of your 1 or 2-handed weapons, your chain meter. So you're gonna want to go back and at least play the levels. And that nice thing with the levels is that they're replayable, is that when you finish it, you're not just locked out of it. You can go back and replay them over and over again. And that's what I did quite a bit with my playthroughs. However, it's not just limited to that. When you're playing the levels, because everything's separated into seasons, so with these 4 worlds, there's seasons that you can switch between, which are, you know, the standard 4: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So you play one in spring, and then you can do a season change, which makes it a little more difficult, but also brings its own set of challenges. It not only makes it, like I said, more difficult, but it also changes the level layouts a little bit too, which is again expanding upon its replayability. And also, on top of its main quest, you do have the side quests as well too, which make use of the season changes as well. So you want to keep that in mind. There's a lot of variety when it comes to gameplay, and it kept things interesting. Like, I was really hooked with the gameplay with it, and I kept, like I said, replaying levels. It made me want to go back, find all the stars, max out Nayuta's abilities, and also do some of the special things in the environments, like specific boss battles, or, you know, freeing those administrators, because if you do stuff like that, you unlock new abilities for Noi, which will come in handy later on in the game. And there will be some spots, at least in levels, that you can't get to, and you need Noi's abilities in order to get to that. So overall, like, at least replayability wise, there's a lot to it, and it kept me hooked. I thought it was fun. I know it's a shift from what the Legend of Heroes games are normally for most of them, which are turn-based stuff. So if you're more of a fan of the Ys series, then you're gonna really appreciate what this game has to offer. And obviously you level up Nayuta as well, but it's just, you know, just leveling up system. I think the level cap was 50. You'll get that when you do the after story as well, and then obviously, like I said, when you were done, you get access to New Game Plus, so that expands the experience there. But, you know, the game's a lot of fun. I had a blast playing it, but it doesn't just end there. The game itself, at least in terms of presentation, it is a PSP game. You can tell that through and through. It's the same thing you could kind of see with Zero and Azure. The only difference, though, here is that instead of 2D like Zero and Azure, they go for full 3D models here. But they're stylized in an anime aesthetic, which you do see carried out throughout the rest of the series as it evolves. Like, Cold Steel just basically makes the characters look a lot better. But with what they did here for Nayuta, I think this game actually looks pretty stylish and fun. My only issue with presentation is that the levels are small. But again, I guess because you're building it for a handheld, first, you're seeing those limitations. It's the same thing with the animations and stuff. There are limitations with it, but it was all based off of what it was developed for at the time. So the flaws maybe stick out a bit more than they should here, but that didn't really take me out of the experience. The game still has great art, and the dynamicness of the environments when you switch between the seasons, I do think offer good enough variety when it comes to at least how it looks. Now, all the footage I have shown here is of PC, and the thing with the PC version is that you get a few good amount of customization options, with that. So, you know, you can change the resolution, you can even change the refresh rate, stuff like that. Just what we saw with the other ports of Zero and Azure. So I think in terms of PC options here, you have a fair amount when it comes for visuals. But in terms of other gameplay things, you could actually change the buttons to, say, Xbox, a DualShock, the Switch, or even a Steam Deck too. Now, I couldn't test it on Steam Deck because I don't have one, but the fact that that option's there is actually pretty neat. And you can even change the speed up options, because there's a button you can press that you can speed up time, or like high speed mode, which is handy during some cutscenes or if you're just waiting for something to happen. So that actually helps the quality of life, which is very nice. And then with sound options, like the sound's actually good. You can actually switch between English and Japanese. I mostly played it in English though, but the Japanese option is nice. And in terms of the sound itself, like the sound's simple enough. I think it's pretty good for what it is. It does repeat a lot, so don't be too surprised about that. However, this game still carries the trend of what makes Falcom stand out to me, and that's its music. The music in this game is just top notch. Here's a few samples. Like, here are some tracks that I thought stuck out to me. So the music in this game is very well done. This again proves the point. Falcom is some of the best out there when it comes to making music. For me, they're up there with SNK for some of the best music I've heard in a video game. And I have listened to the full soundtrack for this, and it is nothing but amazingness. So music-wise, it lives up to those expectations. Overall, though, I would say this is my favorite Trails game right now that I've played. It plays incredibly well. I love the replayability. The story is well done. It kept me hooked from start to finish. And I did want to explore and do all of those quests on top of the cooking, which I didn't even mention the cooking as well. But I mean, like, you can cook and you can get your health back and get experience points out of it. That was a lot of fun. But no, this game was just hit it on so many levels for me. It's a blast. It was memorable. I can see myself replaying this game over and over. I do want to go back and do another playthrough. I want to get at least all of the achievements for it if possible, and I'll even play it again on my Switch. For me, Nayuta is just nothing but an amazing experience, and one that needs to be played. If you haven't played any of the Legend of Heroes games, this is a good one. And if you are coming in from Ease just to try it out, this is a great game, because again, it has the real-time combat. I think it's awesome. It is different from turn-based, but hey, if this hooks you in, who's to say you can't, try out the turn-based stuff? Like, I still would recommend Zero and Azure for sure. Nayuta, though, for me, is just like that perfect experience for me. And it's not overly long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it's of the best length, a good length for a game. If you haven't picked this up, it's a high recommendation from me. I think you will enjoy this game. With that, I want to give a shout out and thank you to NIS for providing me a review copy of this. Guys, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm sorry about the delay with this, but thank you. I truly appreciate it. And for letting me share this game with all of you watching with it. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. With that said, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. Have you played Nayuta? What do you think about it? And thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this. So with that being said, until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Super Retro Force.